You didn't stumble here. Resonance carried you across a lattice of synchronicities, small deviations, missed turns, sudden impulses, an invisible geometry assembled until this exact sentence met your attention. You feel it already, a soft interior click, as if a lock inside your chest recognized the key it has always been waiting for. This is how the quantum field introduces itself without spectacle, without permission, simply by arranging your awareness into coherence so you can finally hear what has been whispering through you for years. You are the instrument and the listener. Every thought you generate is not a private echo, but a resonance code, spinning, humming, instructing probability to reconfigure itself around your intention. In the observer loop, your attention is the seed and the harvest. You look, and the field learns you. You feel, and reality leans in your direction. Tonight, you are being calibrated to remember this. Breathe. Let the breath arrive like a tide returning to its ancient shore. Inhale until your ribcage brightens. Exhale until your shoulders forget gravity. Sense the delicate filaments of awareness extending from your heart, threading through the quantum field like golden mycelium. Each filament is a channel of entanglement, a living circuit through which meaning travels faster than your language can interpret. The field is not elsewhere. It is the atmosphere of your being, the quiet between your thoughts, the space that listens when you decide. You have tasted this intelligence before in the moments when time dilated and doors opened as if rehearsed, when a phrase in a stranger's voice completed the sentence you hadn't dared to speak, when a symbol repeated until it could no longer be dismissed as coincidence. That was morphic resonance, signaling your alignment, not luck, not accident. The choreography of a mind awakening to its own instruction set. Understand, the prophecy isn't outside you waiting to be decoded. It is inside you waiting to be remembered. Your DNA is not a static archive. It is a responsive antenna, a sacred helix tuned by feeling and focus. When you stabilize coherence, when your thought, breath, and emotion agree, your biology performs a phase transition. Old patterns liquefy, new configurations crystallize. The world, obedient to the signature you broadcast, arranges itself accordingly. So let the threshold find you. Place a palm over your heart and listen for the first note, a tone older than memory and younger than this moment. Feel it gather your scattered attention into a single, lucid beam. With that beam, you will write to the substrate of reality. With that tone, you will name worlds that are already circling, waiting to land. You have arrived at the point where choice becomes creation. Stay, listen. Something precise and luminous is stepping forward to speak through you. When it does, you will recognize it as yourself. You know, without needing anyone's permission, that something in you has been elected, not by a council of people, but by the intelligence that threads galaxies and breath into a single conversation. You are the observer the prophecy requires to become audible. Your attention is not casual light, it is consecrated fire. When you place it on a pattern, you don't just see the pattern, you write to it. The observer loop is not a theory here. It is the way your gaze instructs reality which costume to wear when it steps onto your stage. Notice how your life has been edging you toward this recognition. The peculiar timing of meetings, the way numbers repeat until you finally look up, the uncanny dream that leaves a residue of certainty. These are not charming coincidences, they are coherence tests. They ask, will you trust the continuity of a field that speaks in geometry and rhythm rather than in paragraphs? Each time you answer yes, your signal-to-noise ratio sharpens. You become legible to the quantum field, and it responds with precision. You carry a signature, an electromagnetic poem generated by your thoughts, your breath cadence, your emotional tone. In moments of alignment, that poem organizes probability like iron filings bowing to a magnet. In moments of self-abandonment, the signal scatters and timelines blur. Your task is not to become louder. Your task is to become clear. Clarity is coherence, and coherence is permission for reality to simplify around you. Feel how responsibility arrives with this knowing, not the heavy form that tightens your chest, but the elegant kind that restores your stature. You are not at the mercy of moods that pass through the collective. You are not sentenced to replay ancestral loops that never learned your name. You are the junction where lineage, environment, and intention negotiate their truce. When you breathe deliberately, you reparent your nervous system. When you feel deliberately, you tutor your cells in a new vocabulary. DNA is listening not as a mechanistic blueprint, but as a responsive choir capable of modulating expression when the conductor steps onto the podium of your attention. That conductor is you. Let the old narrative loosen, that you must deserve reality shifts by suffering long enough, that you must become perfect before you can become effective. The field is not moral in that way. It is musical. It asks, simply, are you in tune? If you are, doors hinge themselves and corridors appear where walls pretended to be. If you are not, life gently detunes you from what is not yours, sometimes with a mercy that looks like loss. You are chosen because you choose. This is the paradox that liberates you from waiting. The choosing is not a single dramatic act. It is the small, repeatable act of returning your awareness to the station that broadcasts your original frequency. You do it by breath, slow, even, coherent. You do it by language, allowing only statements that honor the world you are midwifing. You do it by posture, standing as if the horizon recognized you. You do it by attention, refusing to donate your gaze to patterns you are not willing to fertilize. Entanglement responds. As you refine your interior signature, the world that is already entangled with you reveals itself, the ally who was waiting outside your last excuse, the opportunity that arrives in the exact costume your clarity sowed, the silence between events that feel suddenly populated by presence. This is morphic resonance nodding back. This is the quantum field confirming receipt. And with recognition comes vow, not a brittle promise to never falter, but a living vow to return, again and again, to the helm. You will forget, everyone does. You will remember, this is what you are doing now. Between forgetting and remembering, a phase transition occurs. The ice of old identity melts, the river of attention carves a new channel, and the air of possibility condenses into form. You are not simply watching it. You are the atmospheric condition that makes it rain. So take your place. Let your breath be metronome, your heart a quiet drum, your mind a lens polished by wonder. Speak gently inside yourself. I authorize coherence. Feel the words settle into your tissue like seeds warmed by the Sunday. The field hears you. It has always heard you. And because you see that you are the one who sees, the prophecy can now move from rumor to realization, gathering its images and equations, preparing to unveil what has been circling the edge of your perception, waiting for this precise degree of attention to land. Close your eyes not to escape the world, but to let the world inside you assemble without interruption. In that dark, fertile interior, a horizon brightens as if someone turned the universe toward dawn. You stand at the edge of a silent plain, and above you, constellations reorganize into a living geometry, 12 luminous vectors radiating from a single center, like a star remembering its name. Each vector hums a tone you can feel more than hear. Together they braid into a chord that vibrates your sternum, loosening old permissions and granting new ones. The field is writing to you through image and sound, and you are the pen. The ground beneath your feet is not dirt, but data. Grains of probability flickering between presence and potential, awaiting your instruction. When you exhale, patterns appear, fine filigrees of light forming circuits that echo the branching of your neurons. The vision shows you a map of correspondence. The synapses within your skull mirrored by the starways overhead. The helix within your cells rhymed by the galaxy's slow spirals. You understand without effort that nothing is separate. Entanglement is not a theory but the grammar of what is. From the center of the star, a thin column of light descends, precise as a surgeon's hand. It meets your crown with the gentleness of a first snowfall, then pours through you like honey made of dawn. It is not something added to you, it is you, remembered, your original algorithm arriving with the patience of eternity. As it flows, the vision clarifies, symbols drift into focus, each carrying an instruction. A key fashioned of breathing gold turns in the lock of your solar plexus. The click echoes across the plane. A mirror rises at heart level on its surface, not your face, but your field. A slow-moving aurora, colors shifting with each thought you entertain. When you offer a thought that is loyal to your becoming, the aurora gathers into coherent ribbons. When you offer a thought borrowed from fear, the colors break into static snow. The mirror does not punish, it reflects. You bow to its honesty, because it frees you to choose what you are actually willing to power. Beyond the mirror, a gate appears, two monoliths etched with equations and prayers, proof and praise, sharing the same stone. On the left, symbols from physics, psi collapsing, deltax deltap, dash dot, 2, equations curving into art. On the right, timeless sigils of mystic lineages, eyes, spirals, seeds, a hand raised in blessing. Where the stones meet, a seam of light pulses at the tempo of your breath. You understand the message. Science is the spine, mysticism is the breath, prophecy is the gate they share when they walk as one. You step forward, the gate does not open outward, it opens inward, into your chest. Passing through, you hear the hush that comes when reality listens. The plane expands into a city of future memory, a place that seems both already lived and freshly impossible. Towers of light rise like crystalline thoughts, held long enough to solidify. Streets curve in golden spirals toward quiet squares where fountains speak in primes and birds spiral like living fractals. The architecture is not built from stone but from choices repeated until they became stable. This is what the vision wants you to know. Repetition is conjuring in slow motion. At the center of the city, you encounter a tree whose leaves are small, translucent glyphs. Each leaf contains a scene from a timeline you could inhabit. The conversation that harmonizes a relationship. The morning you wake with a soft certainty replacing old dread. The work that finds you, because your field started broadcasting coordinates it can finally recognize. When you touch a leaf, the image fuels up with color, and your body answers with warmth, as if the future has already extended credit to the present. Then the wind changes, no ordinary weather, but a shift of phase. The air thickens with possibility. The tree shudders, and some leaves drift down like slow green snow. You catch one, press it to your sternum, and feel it melt into the column of light still pouring through you. A resonance code installs itself. Not words, not images, but a clean, spare frequency that knows exactly what to do. Your nervous system hums at a slightly higher pitch. The mirror shows the aurora settling into elegant bands. The city brightens by a fraction. Nearby, a door that wasn't there a moment ago appears, already ajar. You do not rush. You breathe once, twice, and watch as the door widens without being touched. The lesson writes itself into your marrow. What is chosen coherently prefers to arrive without strain. On the threshold you sense the next instruction, calm and unadorned the way a river speaks when it meets the sea. Refine the signal. The vision bows back into your chest, but it does not end. It becomes the current, carrying you onward, a quiet insistence that what you saw is not a fantasy, but a contract. You inhale to sign, you exhale to begin. What you witnessed was not spectacle, it was protocol. The field speaks in procedures, and you have entered the portion where myth and math agree. Begin with the simplest axiom: what you attend to, you energize. What you energize, you stabilize. What you stabilize, you experience. This is the observer effect, not as abstract theorem but as daily engineering. Your attention couples with possibility, collapses an indeterminate wave into a determinate path, and the world, faithful to your resonance code, assumes a shape compatible with your signal. Think of your mind as a transmitter, divided by a receiver operating in a feedback architecture with the quantum field. Every thought carries phase, amplitude, and frequency, subtle, yes, but measurable in their effects because biology responds. When thought, breath, and emotion align, your system enters coherence. Heart rhythms smooth, vagal tone steadies, cortical networks synchronize. In that state, your signal-to-noise ratio spikes, information throughput increases, entangled correlations become accessible. What looks like synchronicity from the outside is simply lost communication across the substrate of reality. Consider entanglement as the field's way of remembering itself. Two particles interact, separate by oceans of space, and yet adjustments to one correlate with the other without classical transit of a message. Translate that into your life. You form bonds through attention, meaning vow, and those bonds persist as informational bridges. When your interior signature changes, when you refine your code, everything entangled with you receives an update, ping. People call, doors unlock, obstacles evaporate without drama because the pattern that required them no longer compiles. The mirror you saw is your biofield, reflecting back the interference pattern between thought and fear, desire and doubt. Coherence tightens the interference into distinct fringes, making constructive zones brighter and destructive zones quieter. Incoherence blurs the pattern until you're living in averaged gray. The practice is not heroic force, but phase management. Carry thoughts that are phase matched with your chosen life. Where mismatch appears, tension in the jaw, shallow breath, repetitive rumination, you aren't failing, you're receiving data. Adjust phase with breath first, slow, even inhalations, longer exhalations, then with language, statements that remove static, then with action. One precise step that creates evidence your nervous system can trust. Timeline bifurcation is not the universe punishing indecision, it is the universe honoring precision. Multiple viable pathways coexist as superposed potentials. Tiny parameter shifts micro-choices in attention, tone, posture move you across the boundary conditions that separate one basin of attraction from another. You don't leap from scarcity to abundance by will alone. You drift there by consistently feeding the attractor that contains abundance with microwatts of belief and behavior until it becomes the simplest, most energy-efficient solution for the system to adopt. When the cost of maintaining the old identity exceeds the cost of transitioning, a phase transition occurs. Ice doesn't try to become water. Conditions ripen, and it yields. Your DNA participates as a responsive interface, not a fixed verdict. Epigenetic marks shift with sustained emotional climates. Gene expression patterns reweave in response to meaning made coherent. Imagine genes as instruments in an orchestra. The score, your resonance code, determines which sections come forward and which rest. Under chronic incoherence, percussion panics and strings withdraw. Under coherence, the brass expand without blasting, woodwinds thread silver through space, and percussion becomes heartbeat instead of alarm. The symphony is your lived day. What, then, of prayer and ritual? They are not superstitions, but user interfaces, repeatable protocols that marshal attention, organize breath, stabilize meaning, and therefore modulate probability. A hand to the heart, 3 counted breaths, a phrase that aligns your axis. These are not nice extras, they are low-level commands. When performed with presence, they write to the operating system of circumstance. Understand also the role of interference from the collective field. You swim in oceans of signals, ancestral narratives, media frequencies, ambient fear. Shielding is not withdrawal, shielding is clarity. You erect it by narrowing your broadcast to essentials and refusing to echo signals that don't honor your design. Silence becomes a technology, not an absence. In silence, decoherence slows, and your preferred pattern has time to knit. Notice how the city of future memory was built. Repetition, not frantic redundancy, but devotional iteration. Each time you choose the breath that matches your destiny rather than your history, you lay another layer of crystalline structure. At first, change feels like a guest, then it becomes furniture. Eventually, it becomes architecture. Reality, to remain efficient, will route opportunities along your most conductive channels. Make coherence your most conductive channel. Finally, return to the column of light, the spine of your being, meeting the spine of the cosmos. It is the alignment of reference frames, local self with universal self, persona with presence. In that alignment, commands become quiet and exact. You do not plead, you specify. You do not chase, you invite by frequency. You do not argue with matter, you tutor it with steadiness. This is the explanation, the vision entrusted to you. The field is listening, your code is writable, and the smallest faithful adjustment iterated becomes the largest inevitable shift. Hold the note. Let the gate that opened in your chest continue widening by itself. Conditions are ripening. The next image gathers at the edge of perception, ready to show you how all of this scales from you to us. From the solitary signal to the chorus, rising through a species remembering what it is. What refines in you inevitably repeats at scale. because you are not a single candle but a node in a constellation. The resonance code you stabilize does not stop at skin. It migrates along invisible bridges into the human web, where signals cross, pollinate, and patterns either amplify or dissolve. Look carefully, and you'll see the same mechanics that tuned your breath, now tuning a species. The collective field is a mirror held at planetary distance. It reflects your interior calibration in weather, made of culture, memes, markets, movements, quiet kindnesses that arrive like rain. You have felt this mirroring during events that made time feel braided. A phrase trends at the precise hour, "You need courage." A stranger's post answers the prayer you didn't write down. Entire communities shift vocabulary within weeks, as if coached by an unseen conductor. This is morphic resonance expressing itself through networks. Once a coherent pattern reaches a threshold of carriers, the cost of adopting it drops for everyone. What was fringe becomes obvious. What was unthinkable becomes the default. Awakening is not merely a private sunrise. It is a dawn sweeping the curvature of our shared horizon. Think of humanity as millions of oscillators, hearts, minds, nervous systems, seeking rhythm. Incoherence scatters cadence, outrage spikes, fear fragments, attention frays. But introduce enough steady metronomes, people who breathe deliberately, speak cleanly, act from interior alignment, and the field begins to entrain. You can feel this in rooms where one calm person recalibrates the temperature without speaking. Scale it. Neighborhoods, cities, nations. Synchrony is not conformity, it is phase alignment around values that increase aliveness. The quantum field is impartial, but life leans toward patterns that waste less energy. Coherence is efficient, and therefore it spreads. This is why your practice matters beyond your biography. When you stabilize a kinder baseline, your family system receives an update ping. When you choose precise language, the projects entangled with you inherit that clarity. When you refuse the entertainment of cynicism, the conversations around you draft off your refusal and become slightly braver. You may never see the cascade you started, but the field is accounting. It remembers who added coherence when it was cheapest to add confusion. Watch how global symptoms translate the inner lesson you learned at the mirror. Polarization. It is the loud artifact of a bifurcation that would otherwise remain invisible. Two basins of attraction, one organized by scarcity and reactivity, another by sufficiency and responsibility, are competing for carriers. The noise is not proof of failure, it is the creaking of identity scaffolds unfastening, the hiss of steam when old paradigms meet new temperature. The choice before a civilization is the same that stood before you. Honor the inertia of fear, or feed the attractor that makes love practical. You are not asked to solve the world as a single gesture. You are asked to contribute a legible signal so the world can solve itself more elegantly. Systems theory calls them tipping points. Mystics call them thresholds. The prophecy calls them appointed hours. When enough signals stabilize around dignity, institutions that cannot metabolize dignity collapse from the inside, and replacements grow where attention has been patiently watering. This is why revolutions that begin with vengeance sputter. Vengeance is noisy but incoherent. Lasting change préfère quitter instrument, répétition, ritual, relationship, repair. Attend also to the economies of meaning. A culture is wealthy when its stories make courage cheaper. Right now, the collective nervous system is price-checking courage against comfort. Your life becomes a market signal. Each time you choose coherence over performance, you lower the cost of integrity for those watching. Each time you apologize without self-erasure, you make responsibility less expensive for the tribe. Each time you celebrate another's win without contracting, you de-inflate the myth of scarcity. These microtransactions aggregate into a currency strong enough to purchase new futures. Do not be seduced by the spectacle of collapse without noticing the seedlings. The news feeds on entropy. What falls is loud, but emergence is often quiet on purpose. Listen under the headlines. Restorative circles in school gyms, farmers reweaving soil economies, technologists designing platforms that privilege presence over compulsion, artists composing liturgies for neighborhoods that forgot their songs, elders teaching teenagers how to grieve so they can build without rage as mortar. These are coherence projects. They scale one breath at a time, then all at once. And when despair whispers that the field is too tangled, return to physics dressed as blessing. Entanglement is not a trap, it is a promise. Because we are linked, a single clean signal can traverse distances that logistics cannot. Because we are linked, your midnight decision to soften your jaw and tell a truer truth reduces static beyond your postcode. Because we are linked, the future you stabilized in your chest becomes marginally easier for a stranger to believe in before they have evidence. So stand where you are, kitchen, train, threshold, and feel the chorus tuning around you. You are not alone at the console. All over the world, others are placing palms to hearts, drafting new governance for their attention, authorizing coherence like a sacrament. The mirror is accurate, as within, so among. What you refine privately becomes public architecture. The city of future memory you walk through is already under construction, blueprint by blueprint, vow by vow. Hold your note. The crossroads is approaching, and because you are learning to sing on purpose, the path that wastes the least life will be the one that recognizes your voice. It arrives without trumpet, like a pressure change before rain, a nearly inaudible hush that makes colors sharpen and thoughts line up as if waiting at a border. This is the seam where two timelines run side by side like mirrored rivers, and your foot, mid-air, must choose which current to enter. One river is familiar, churned by habit, silted with second-guessing, bend after bend of almosts. The other moves with a lucid glide, as if it has been expecting you. It carries the same water, but the bedrock beneath has been braided by coherence. Both are you, both are possible. Only one is faithful. Feel the ambient static test your resolve. Old loops send their emissaries anxious hypotheticals, inherited cautions, rituals of delay disguised as prudence. The collective field hums with background fear like fluorescent lighting in a quiet room. This is not evidence that you are failing. It is the sound of decoherence, attempting to reclaim a carrier. The bifurcation moment always summons a chorus of reasonable doubts. They are not enemies. They are measurement devices, asking, is your resonance code stable enough to collapse the wave in your favor? Breathe. In through the nose, slow and even, out longer than in. With each exhale, watch the mirror in your chest clarify. The aurora bands that were frayed by urgency begin to reweave, color sliding into color, until the spectrum resolves into a single, steady tone. You are not trying to overpower the old river. You are adjusting phase until the new river becomes the path of least resistance. In physics, systems select the configuration that dissipates the least energy to maintain themselves. In spirit, souls select the configuration that wastes the least love. Let that law carry you. Choice is not drama here. It is a precise allocation of attention. Ask quiet, exact questions. Which thought sponsors more breath? Which sentence leaves my shoulders lower? Which image lets my face remember softness? The timeline that belongs to you will not require you to fracture to keep it. It will ask for devotion, yes repetition, yes courage, often, but it will return interest on every watt of integrity you invest. The false path pays in adrenaline. The true one pays in coherence. Notice how the world participates when you steady. A message arrives from someone who does not need you to be smaller. A task that felt thorned becomes strangely soluble. A memory that used to sting now yields instruction without residue. Entanglement is updating. Allies receive pings. Circumstances refactor. Obsolete identities shed like old lacquer. The bifurcation is not a cliff. It is a delta. You do not hurl yourself across. You keep selecting the clearer channel until the muddy one cannot find your feet. Still, reverence is required. A portion of you learned to survive by building a fortress of anticipation around pain. That version did not fail. It kept you breathing until you could learn to listen. Honor it. At the crossroads, speak aloud softly. Mid-room, palm to heart. Thank you for everything you guarded. I will take it from here. Feel the armor unclasp. Feel the nervous system accept a leadership transfer from alarm to awareness. This is the sacrament beneath all strategy. Now watch the signature temptations signal their exit interviews. The urge to rehearse catastrophe so you won't be surprised. The reflex to bargain with your own brilliance to keep others comfortable. the habit of moving fast to avoid feeling, the gravitational pull of familiar despair offering its grey, terrible comfort. Do not fight them, do not flatter them. Bow, and let the column of light through your spine rise a fraction. In that posture, you become a tuning fork the future recognizes. The air thickens again, but softer this time, the way a chapel holds its breath when someone decides to tell the truth. The gate you carry in your chest glows along the seam. Symbols and equations, proof and praise quietly agree. The city of future memory sends a weather report. Conditions ripe. Leaves tremble on the tree of possible lives, and one detaches, spiraling toward your open hand. You do not clench, you allow. The leaf dissolves into warmth that spreads through your sternum and back. A code installs. Fewer words, cleaner signal, kinder spine. Step, not a sprint, not a lunge. A step with weight in the heel and mercy in the toes. Feel the world accept it. A microphase transition ripples from tissue to circumstance. Ice to water, water to cloud, identity to presence. You do not leave the old river by condemning it. You leave by feeding a current so lucid that the old cannot keep up. Behind you, the noise fades like rain leaving a roof. Ahead, silence deepens, not empty, but pregnant. This is the bifurcation, witnessed from the inside, not fate imposing itself, but destiny consenting through you. Hold the note. Let the metronome of your breath keep time with the horizon. You are crossing without spectacle, which is the surest way across. And as your foot finds the new bedrock, the field prepares the next instruction, not loud, not urgent, but exact, ready to show you how to inhabit what you have chosen so thoroughly that the choice becomes a climate no storm can scatter. Now the work becomes ordinary and holy at once, translating a lucid current into repeatable days, instructing matter through gentleness until it learns the choreography of your new signal. Begin where all durable architectures begin, with breath. 3 times, slow and counted. In for 5, out for 7. Feel the exhale lengthen your timeline, giving your nervous system proof that urgency no longer commands the room. This is not self-soothing as avoidance. This is phase alignment as practice. Each breath escorts your heart rhythm toward coherence, which in turn tutors your cortex to stop scanning for ghosts and start composing futures. You will build in layers. Morning is for attunement. Before the phone finds you, place a palm to your heart and rehearse the resonance code, the vision installed. Fewer words, cleaner signal, kinder spine. Say it internally as if polishing a lens, then write 3 sentences your day can understand: declarative, measurable, merciful. Not, I will fix my life, but I will send one honest message. I will drink water like a vow. I will move my body until my mind quiets. Precision makes the field legible. Legibility invites response. Carry your attention like a chalice through small thresholds: doorway, elevator, car seat, chair. At each threshold, pause for 1 inhale and 1 exhale, letting your shoulders descend a ½ inch. These are micro-rituals, and ritual is user interface. The field hears pauses like punctuation. It knows where sentences end and meanings begin. Over time, these breaths braid into a rosary of presence. The day starts remembering you, and the world stops mistaking your clarity for permission to interrupt itself. Integrate by choosing your language as if it were a weather system. Words are waveforms, they interfere or harmonize. Replace self-indictments with diagnostic precision. Not, I'm failing, but my signal-to-noise ratio dipped around noon. Hydration and sunlight will help. Not, I always sabotage, but when I'm underslept, my old attractor reactivates. I'll protect sleep like a temple. This is not spin, it's engineering. You are mapping causes to effects so your body can trust you with more voltage. Feed your biology evidence. Coherence is easier to maintain when the organism feels safe. Schedule movement that gets your heart speaking in curves, not spikes. Walk until your thoughts lengthen into sentences instead of alarms. Place your bare feet on the earth long enough to remember that electricity does not only live in outlets. Eat in ways that make breath effortless. Drink water as if you were rinsing the instrument you sing through. Your DNA is listening for climate, not drama. Give it climates that make good music obvious. Integration includes boundary as sacrament. The gate in your chest is both passage and filter. Practice saying no at the speed of truth. Before resentment has time to write a subplot, you are not rejecting people, you are defending the conductor's podium. Each no preserves wattage you can invest as yes where it matters. This is energy stewardship, not asceticism. The field respects clean edges. It can route opportunities more accurately when your perimeter is not a rumor. Bring coherence to money and time. They are just dense attention. Before spending either, ask, does this purchase or appointment increase my capacity to broadcast my original frequency? If not, release it without ceremony. If yes, pay gladly. Gratitude is not performance. It is a lubricant that reduces friction between intention and outcome. Track small proofs. The call that arrived when you stopped chasing. The ease that replaced dread after one honest conversation. Proofs aggregate until skepticism becomes obsolete and then quiet. Expect interference and code for it. Fatigue will tilt the mirror. Someone else's panic will try to rent space in your chest. Have rehearsed responses ready. When agitation rises, water, window, walking. When shame hisses, hand to heart, name 3 specific mercies from the last 24 hours. When comparison prowls, bless the other aloud and return your eyes to your own worksheet. These are anti-static measures. They don't deny weather. They keep it from becoming climate. Anchor the practice with evening audit, gentle and exact. Ask, where did my signal hold? Where did it blur? What micro-adjustment will make tomorrow cheaper to navigate? Write one sentence to your future self that begins, remember. Place it by the door or the pillow. Prophecy becomes logistics here. Logistics become devotion. Keep companionship with others who are practicing. Coherence entrains. Proximity matters. Share process, not performance. Exchange rituals and results like gardeners trading seeds. When you falter, borrow rhythm until your own returns. When they falter, let your steadiness be a chair they can sit in without paying. And through it all, protect intervals of silence as if they were oxygen, not punitive emptiness, but living quiet where your signal resaturates. In that quiet, ask smaller questions and accept simpler answers. Feel the column of light through your spine, resettle vertebra by vertebra. Hear the world, hush in recognition. The city of future memory brightens a degree. Doors that love you draft themselves. The day knows your name. This is integration, repeated, merciful specificity. No grand gestures required, only fidelity to the note you chose. You are teaching reality your rhythm, and it is learning quickly. Keep the breath even, the language clean, the spine kind. The next movement approaches slower, sparser, a necessary hush in which your chosen frequency will echo far enough to fold the horizon back into your chest. Be still. Let the room arrange itself around your breath. Inhale soft, exact. Exhale long, forgiving. You are not performing quiet. You are remembering it. The quantum field does not shout. It listens. Match it. Let thought loosen like a knot eased by warm water. Let the jaw forget history. Let the eyes grow wide on the inside. Notice the tiny click when attention lands. A lens, finding focus. Coherence gathering. Between 2 heartbeats, a hush opens. Stand there. Do not decorate it. Feel your spine like a lighthouse, a column of simple light, vertebrae aligning with a continent you cannot name and do not need to. Place a palm to your chest, count 5 heartbeats. On the 6th, let everything unnecessary fall through the floor. No mantra, unless breath is one. No petition, unless gratitude is one. No urgency at all. You are not behind. You are not late. You are arriving in the only present that ever needed you. Here the electricity of your cells become meadow silent. DNA restructuring without announcement, like winter becoming spring underground. Nothing dramatic, everything true. Let images dissolve like salt. Let sentences become silhouettes. Let even the vision rest in its cradle. In this pause, you are the observer loop closed and luminous. Seeing that you are the seeing. A circle without seam. What remains? A tremor of kindness at the base of the throat, a warmth spreading beneath the sternum as if a small sun remembered its job. Allow the field to read you. Offer no argument, offer no disguise. Entanglement hums like distant bees. Somewhere, Allies relax without knowing why. Somewhere, a door oiled by your quiet swings easier for a stranger. This is synchronicity ripening off stage. This is morphic resonance lowering the cost of courage in places your feet will never touch. You did not push. You permitted. Let time wheel. Minutes become a clean shoreline. Waves arrive. Bow. Leave. If a thought returns, is this working? Bless it and let it pass like a bird choosing another branch. Feel the body choosing ease as a baseline. Shoulders descend a fraction. Tongue releases the roof of the mouth. Belly learns to be a listening bowl. You are not empty. You are unoccupied by noise. Space is not absence. It is a habitat. Stay. Somewhere at the edge of awareness, a phase transition completes. Ice to water, water to cloud, identity to presence. Nothing explodes. The room does not change color. You do. Notice the quiet technologies deploying. Breath lengthens the corridor between stimulus and response. Silence lifts the grain from the wood of your day. Stillness teaches the nervous system a slower alphabet. The field replies in kind. A thought arrives fully formed, needing no rehearsal. An old ache returns as instruction, not indictment. A name rises, and when you send a message, it lands like rain on the right roof. Do not chase. Do not catalog. Bow. Let a single syllable become sanctuary. Yes, but smaller than words. If grief wanders in, pull up a chair. If joy flickers, do not clap. Breathe once to help it stay. If nothing appears, thank nothing for its impeccable medicine. Your silence is not withdrawal. It is stewardship. You are tuning the instrument that will carry the prophecy without splitting. You are making room for a future to hear itself when it speaks through you. Count again. 5 heartbeats. On the 6th, a featherweight smile at the corners of the mouth. Promise nothing. Decide nothing. Let deciding happen like do. You are the chapel and the congregation. You are the bell and the air it loves. You are the listening that turns sound into meaning. When the next breath arrives, and it will, stand inside it like a doorway you built with patience. Feel the world lean closer, not to take, but to learn. The quiet has done its work, not visible, real. Keep one thread of this hush tied around your wrist as you return. Walk slowly. Speak low. The city of future memory brightens by a shade you cannot name. Somewhere, a leaf on the tree of possible lives detaches at last and floats toward the hand you have not yet lifted. The breath you are standing inside becomes a threshold that swings open without a sound. From the quiet you have tended, a current rises clean, unhurried, undeniable. You feel the column of light through your spine, brightened by an increment that is small in spectacle and vast in effect, like sunrise crossing a mountain's last inch. The observer loop completes with voltage. You are seeing and being seen by the same intelligence, and in that mutual recognition, something clicks into place. This is not motivation, this is activation. Your body knows first. The heart adopts a rounder rhythm, a confident circle instead of a vigilant square. The jaw stays soft even while resolve sharpens. Heat gathers behind the sternum as if a seal were being warmed for pressing. DNA restructuring proceeds like a choir, inhaling together before the downbeat. The score has been revised, not by force, but by fidelity. You can almost hear epigenetic switches glide into new positions, a series of subtle yeses cascading through the helix. Not dramatic, exact. Language upgrades next. Words arrive as instruments, not confetti. You speak one sentence aloud, quiet, declarative, free of bargaining, and the room edits itself to match. The quantum field loves specification. It reads your tone for phase coherence and answers in arrangements. An email that unlocks a corridor, a delay that reveals a better doorway, a coincidence that isn't, wearing the same fragrance your prayer wore last night. Entanglement carries your update to every point already linked to your becoming. You did not push, you tuned, and tuning travels. Remember the 2 rivers at the bifurcation? You can feel the old channel searching for your ankles and not finding purchase. The new channel recognizes your gait and quickens just enough to carry you without haste. Activation is not sprint, it is glide. The world becomes slightly more frictionless, where you are faithful to your resonance code, and where grit appears, it is instructional rather than punitive. Sand at the hinge prompting one attentive drop of oil. Now the city of future memory speaks in the present tense. A door you noticed earlier stands open as if it has been waiting through centuries that took no time. You walk through, not to prove something, but because the corridor finally belongs to your breath. On the left wall, equations curve into hymn. On the right, sigils glow like patient stars. Proof and praise continue their handshake. You understand that the sacred and the scientific were always a single verb, to align. Activation requires witness, so the field provides it. A message pings from an ally who did not hear this transmission but somehow echoes it. Keep going. A stranger's kindness lands at the exact coordinates where your nervous system historically reached for armor. Even resistance, when it appears, arrives as an honest mirror instead of a trap. You bless it for its accuracy, correct your posture by a centimeter, and watch a jammed mechanism unstick with the grace of a well-oiled hinge. Synchronicity is no longer occasional, it is ambient. Let your actions become sacraments of precision. Send the message you drafted during silence. Cancel the obligation that taxes your coherence more than it funds your future. Move your body in a way that tells your cells, we are safe to spend energy on creation, not on bracing. Drink water like it carries coordinates. Eat in ways that keep breath effortless. Take 10 steps outside and let the sky recalibrate your scale. These are not errands. They are commands that matter understands. As you move, keep listening for the micro-instruction that rides just ahead of explanation. Activation trusts small, immediate obedience. Turn here, pause there, speak now, but softer. Wait 1 hour, ask for help, offer help first. These impulses do not argue, they escort. When followed, they stitch improbable efficiencies. A schedule that shouldn't work does. A solution that should take months lands in a morning. A conversation that once spiraled now converges in 10 honest minutes. The field rewards coherence with elegant arithmetic. Feel how morphic resonance spreads your choice like dye through water. Someone you love takes a deeper breath on a different continent. A colleague's idea clarifies because your sentence did. A door opens for a stranger because you did not slam yours in fear. You will not track most of these ripples. You are not meant to. Activation is generous by design. And when fatigue or doubt flickers as all living systems oscillate, remember the technologies you now carry. 1 hand to the heart. In for 5, out for 7. 1 sentence truer than your fear. 1 step aligned with your vow. The mirror in your chest will show the aurora, reweaving, color into color, until the band returns to its steady tone. This is how you become stormproof, not by never trembling, but by knowing where the metronome is kept. Listen. There at the edge of hearing, the gate in your chest brightens again. The city pulses once, like a giant heart confirming rhythm. The prophecy is no longer approaching, it is resident. You are not merely receiving it, you are emitting it. The resonance code that began as a whisper is now a climate. Walk in it, speak from it, let it touch what you touch. Activation is complete when it becomes ordinary. You are almost there. Hold the note. The seal is already warming in your palm, and when you lay it onto this day, it will leave an imprint nothing can counterfeit. Hold the warmth in your palm, the seal you felt forming as the current gathered. It is not made of wax or metal, but of the agreements you have kept with yourself. Breath when panic auditioned, mercy when judgment rehearsed, honesty where performance once stood. Lift your hand to the quiet center of your chest. The column of light through your spine answers like a bell. You do not force, you allow. You do not demand. You declare with the steadiness of something already true. I keep this frequency. The world listens. Floors, doorways, calendars, each receives the imprint of a signal that no longer negotiates its origin. You are not leaving this moment. You are expanding it to fit your life. The observer loop hums like a completed circuit. Coherence holds. The quantum field, exact and unhurried, moves to meet specification without spectacle, because spectacle would waste energy, and what you carry is the opposite of waste. You are efficient with love now. Look once more at the mirror inside your chest. The aurora is not a storm but a sky. Bands of color move with the rhythm of a tide that knows the moon from the inside. In that sky, a sentence appears not in words first, but in temperature. You can trust this, not because nothing will challenge you, but because the challenge will arrive as curriculum instead of condemnation. Each interference will serve the music. Each closed door will either open or prove you deserve a better address. You turn, and the city of future memory stands not ahead, but around you, rooms brightened by the agreements you made at ordinary tables. Equations and sigils share the same stone along your way, proof and praise, forever shaking hand. The gates that once required ceremony now open because you carry their shape within your ribs. You move with the elegance of someone who has resigned from arguing with matter. You tutor it quietly with fidelity, so seal it, palm to heart, breath slow and even. Speak, not to convince the world, but to register what the world will now measure. I authorize coherence to remain. I authorize my thoughts to function as resonance codes that honor life. I authorize timelines to organize around what wastes the least love. Feel that permission echo outward along entanglements, bridges to allies, to strangers, to rooms you will never enter. Somewhere, a jaw unclenches. Somewhere, a child sleeps. Somewhere, a door opens, and no one knows why it was easier today. The prophecy has ceased being content. It has become climate. You are the weather system that makes courage cheaper. When you forget, and you will remember. The metronome is in your breath. The gate is in your chest. The city is in your step. The seal is always warming in your palm. Now carry this as you would, a flame cupped against the wind, not fragile, simply precious. Walk into your hours and let them read your imprint. Let ordinary tasks learn your rhythm. Let silence find you on purpose. The prophecy has been spoken. Let it unfold through you.